All right, how y'all doing today? We're glad that you could join us with the Grown Here podcast. And I am not possessed. That is a little young guy in the background, Eric. Anyway, today we're going to have, our crew is going to be Rob Benson. That's me. It's going to be Gordon Cohn. It's going to be Jim from Chambersburg. He's missing his wife, Joanne, and we'll miss her too. We're also going to have some special guests join us later, Sarah and Andrew. So we're going to go ahead and continue our discussion this week. So last week we opened up character, flawed versus true. And this week we're going to be hitting part 2, and our focus is going to be morality. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Now, guys, this is a question for you guys. Looking at your week, this past week, Gordon, has there been anything that's been goofy, impactful, striking, frustrating?
Yeah, my day is my frustration is my middle name on my day job. But it is what it is, and God uses that to grow,
challenge you,
build character.
Yes, build character. Good theme there. Good word. Good phrase. How about you, Jim? Goofy, impactful, striking.
Yeah, there was a woman I saw today in counseling that was referred to me, and she's convinced she's a borderline personality, and she's been stuck in this for years and years and years and can't get away from that. And I'm trying to. She has Christ, but I'm trying to bring her into an awareness that she's much more than that.
Yeah. Understanding the authority and power that you have over those things that have taken you down, if you will, right?
That's right.
Yeah. That's a hard one. That's a hard one to learn. I'm just at this age starting to learn a little bit more about that and walking in the authority that we do have in Christ. To overcome things that have plagued us our whole lives. Since I'm 59, that's a long time. For me, I'd say more along the lines of impactful. There was a young lady that I met last week, and she made me think about how precious life is and helped me to step back a little bit and think about what's important in life. She's facing a cancer diagnosis that's the outlook isn't very good for her. And I was just taken back by how she was dealing with that. And she said, I'm just trying to walk with Jesus through this. She has a young family, 2 kids and a husband. And it just made me step back and think about how much time do I waste worrying about the things that really don't matter.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for sharing. So we're going to move on to the Getting to Know the Crew segment. And this week we have Gordon, who's joining us live, which is really cool. He's one of the tech crew. He's working sound and slides, and we have Jessica, his wife, and she's working the switcher app there, switching the camera angles. And we'll hit her up next week probably and let her give us a rundown. But this week, Gordon, growing up years highlights.
So Baltimore County, Frederick County, Howard County, back to Baltimore County. Went to school at UMBC, also known as UCLA, University of Catonsville, Left Arbutus, also known as You Must Be Crazy. Computer, yes. Plus a bunch of other things. But anyway, degree of computer science.
Career years? We're moving into that? Are you transitioning now?
I was.
Okay.
Transition.
All right, man.
But yeah. Okay. But career years, got out of college, was a software developer.
Yeah.
All over the multiple tech stacks, blah, blah, blah. About 8 years ago or so, I became a product manager in my current role. Been spending most of my career in transit, working with CAD AVL systems.
Good. I thought you meant by transit. I thought you meant you were transiting, but you mean like transportation.
Transportation,
Okay.
yes.
Good,
As
good.
in, think buses and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And and definitely going from dev to product manager, that was quite the change.
Dev meaning?
Developer, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just.
Thank you. But yeah, so making that transition from developer to product manager
Yeah.
has been very challenging. Definitely from the fire into the frying pan into the fire. But choosing the hard way is actually a reflection I had not too long ago. I mean,
Say that one more time, man. That's a good word right there.
choosing the hard path or choosing the hard way, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got a dog over here now too. Cool. Yeah, but that's all good. So, but anyway, choosing a hard path, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That's just part of who I am, who God's made me to be, and God's definitely used this job to
Right.
show me a lot about who I am and my character.
Yeah. Well, jobs are good places to be exposed. Our character kind of laid out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So last part of the getting to know you is really what's up with you being a part of the Character Matters team and the Grown Here podcast.
Just see, that wasn't the question you had.
But I
Reworded it.
I just changed it up.
You changed it up. That's
There
okay.
you
That's
go.
okay. We roll with it.
Yes, we
But
do.
what's up with this? Hey,
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Builds character.
builds
Go ahead.
character. Yes, exactly. Builds character as a team. Yeah, but what's up with this? It's like, hey, it's just I find it interesting how, I would say the past few months has been huge for me at the work, and God's been showing me a lot of stuff about character, and just the timing has been very interesting. So when Rob, asked me to join this thing, and besides my kicking and screaming,
Right.
no, I mean, no, I was honored. I was honored. I just say kicking and screaming in jest. But
a little bit of that maybe, huh? Yeah.
but
Sometimes.
Me and this guy Rob go back way back, and
Yes.
there's been lots of kicking and screaming along the
For
way.
both of us.
But just honored to just be part of this team and part of this crew and see what's going to happen with this thing.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Doing something new. Don't know what we're doing. Trying to figure it out. Trusting God to get us through.
Awesome's on the move.
Yes. Any thoughts, comments from you, Jim?
About Gordon,
That's who we're talking about.
I am just thrilled to be with Gordon and Jess in this endeavor. I'm so glad they decided to join with us.
Yeah.
My grandson's trying to join in too.
Hey,
Hey,
And
he's going to be
been
taking it over.
long time friends with Gordon and Jess since I got involved with Matt House back in 2010. And of
Yeah.
course, you two.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for that feedback, brother. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment. Earlier today, I was listening to a radio talk show, and they were talking about one of the delegates that's resigning, that's being asked to resign here in our state, and they were inviting people to call in or text in. So this was a text line statement, and I just wanted your guys' thoughts on this, Gordon and Jim. The statement that this texter typed in was, speaking of the delegate, his personal choices are separate from his character. And I thought that was it. That was an interesting statement right there. His personal choices are separate from his character. What are your thoughts there, Gordon? Any feedback on that? Any thoughts?
WTF?
What does that mean, Trent? No, I'm just joking. Okay.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
There you go. Yeah. And why? Why?
It just floors me that the two go to hand in hand.
The personal choices and character?
Right.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
You can't.
At least in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, good feedback. Jim?
Well, my belief is that people make choices outside of morality because they are either compromised,
Okay.
afraid, or they're doing it for money or power. And those are choices. So I would say the character follows it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I like how you broke that down. It's good to have your psychological perspective. And of
Oh,
course,
sorry about that.
since you're an older guy, it's very helpful to have your feedback from your wisdom through the years.
Still alive. Still alive.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful for that, brother. Grateful for that. So where we at, Jess? We got the guests. We're up. Andrew and Sarah, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm in the building.
You're in the building. No, I don't think that's true. I think you. Well, I guess you're in the building because you're sitting inside the iPad. Your little picture inside the iPad. So, anyway, it's good to have you guys. Could you introduce yourselves there? Yes, Andrew. Are you talking?
Are we having technical difficulties?
Sarah, can you hear me? We are resolving some technical difficulties, so we're going to go ahead and jump into another part of the discussion here while we're solving our technical difficulties. So, Jim and Gordon, when you think about morality and where it comes from, think about morality and where it comes from your perspective and experience and worldview you operate out of. Where does that come from?
Where comes from the creator.
The creator. And why do you say that, Gordon?
Doesn't it?
That's okay. That's okay. Have you always thought like that? That it came from the creator? Or was there a time where you thought different?
No, I mean, I definitely in my younger days before, when I knew it all.
Yes.
That's a whole other story right there. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, but once I became a believer and, and really, God created us. I mean, I believe God created us and all that kind of stuff. And, and as part of that has built more baseline morality into us.
There's baseline morality built into us. Okay.
Now there is the free will part of it too, right? And I can get real messy real fast.
Yeah. So when you think back to your pre-Christ days, what did you think about morality at all, or did you just function and do what you did? And
Do you need another invite?
No, I mean, you learn morality from your parents too, right?
yes, yeah.
Your parents. I was blessed to have. I mean,
we're not
everybody has their story or their backstories or origin stories, right? But
Right.
I was blessed to have good, decent parents, right?
Yeah.
Good parents, and nothing's ever perfect, but they still taught me right from wrong.
Yeah. So that's another place we can get it from home, right?
Yeah.
Parents who brings us up. Jim, how about you? What are your thoughts on morality, your worldview, your perspective?
I sent the invite again.
I'd have to piggyback on what Gordon said about my parents, because I always felt my dad was a very fine Christian, and my mother always thought that morality was very important, certainly in your relationships, because what you do to others is what they do to you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I would say, and being growing up in the church with my father doing the music all the time, I was very close to what was being said and believed in. However, I did find my way into some squirrely situations where I ducked and dove and
Yeah.
did the things that I wanted to do and didn't think about morality so much as expediency. And that lasted right up until the time I became a professional, I'd say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And and it certainly has come to roost when you're married, you have a
Yeah.
family, you want to be doing the right thing and showing the right thing and acting the right ways. All of a sudden, all the foolishness before you recognize, I recognized what's profligate actually,
Mm-hmm.
and done differently. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great distinction you make. I think when other people enter into our lives, the ones that we want to fall in love with and our family, it does, at least for me, I had the same effect. I wanted to be a better man. I wanted to be a better dad. before that, of course, I had those thoughts. And I also was blessed to grow up in a home with a good mom and dad who gave me some good moral foundation. Not that I always chose
Yeah, that's the hard part.
the right path,
Can you guys hear
but
me?
at least I knew what the right path was, and I was clear on that. My mom and dad, we went to church when I was younger, so I could get confirmed in the Episcopal Church, and then we primarily just went to church during Easter, Christmas, kind of like what people call the high holy
I
days.
got you guys now.
So church was really, for me, church was not necessarily, at least that I knew of, a part of my moral code, if you will, that I operated by. But I did find out later on, because my mom and dad believed, and they didn't go to church all the time, but their morality certainly came from Scripture. So, I was blessed also in that vein. I think we have our guests now.
Yeah.
So, how you doing there, Andrew?
All right.
Good, good. How about you, Sarah?
Doing good.
Good. Well, it's good to hear from you guys. I'm glad you could join us. Are we gonna? Let's see. Can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Um, I have been a Christian since I was 12 years old. My family went to church since I was little, and they believed in scripture too.
Right.
So
Okay. So that's kind of like your foundation, morally speaking, right? From your family
Yep.
and church. Okay. Cool, cool. Andrew?
Well, when I was little,
Hold on. That
church
was like
wasn't.
80 years ago, wasn't it?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. But church wasn't. It wasn't a choice whether you were coming to church or not. It was you were going, so you had no choice but to go and learn.
Yeah.
You couldn't. My grandmother was the type where you couldn't slack off. There
Gotcha.
was no, I'm going to go this Sunday, I'm not going to go this Sunday, or there was no, uh, uh, there
Wi-
was no, um, how can I put it,
Wiggle room?
not listening.
Yeah.
She was more of, okay, we went to church today, what did you learn?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had to come up with
Woo, intense.
sufficient answers, or
Yep.
that didn't go so well.
Yeah.
So,
Why do you think that was so important to your grandma?
because she wanted, well, me and my cousins, she wanted us to grow up to be grown men instead of boys with flashy toys.
Nicely put.
It was more of, you're not going to be in the street all day just hanging out. You're going to learn something, even if I have to beat it into you.
Yeah. That's good,
But
brother.
the thing is, though, from being in church for so
Yeah.
many years, though, I've learned a lot in many different ways because I've been to many different churches. So I've heard so many different ministered truths and what you should believe and what you shouldn't believe. The
Okay.
question is what did I believe?
Good point,
And
Andrew.
so that kind of, I guess you could say, built my foundation
Yeah. Yeah.
for today.
And that's a
You know,
beautiful thing there that you had a grandmother that was concerned about that and wanted to give you direction and point you, in the right direction, if you will, and also show you what's wrong. In
well,
all of
my
us, I think.
grandmother, she was the type that, if you were right, she'd be behind you 100%. If you were wrong,
Yeah.
She'd be
you'd be in
behind you
trouble, but she would
100% too.
still, right, but she'd still care.
Yeah.
She would still care. And so that was still, either way it went, a lesson that you had to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
great.
when I was little, I did, crazy stuff in church and got in trouble, and that swift kick, brought me up the right way. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to jump into a poll here real quick. A couple questions here for you and you, Andrew, and Sarah. In first question, is morality a social construct? Sarah? Yes,
what do
no?
you mean by what do you mean by social construct?
Just something our society says is important.
Not at this time anymore, but it still should be a social construct. So I would say no at this point.
So you'd say no. Okay, okay. But you think it used to be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. It used to be, but it's gone downhill
Right.
because
And so what do you think's up with that? Why did it used to be and isn't anymore?
we've taken God out of society.
Okay. Okay. So
Is
from
the
your
shortest answer I
perspective,
can give.
yeah, no, no, no. That's great. We ditched God. Okay. Okay. Second no, Andrew, you go. Sorry, buddy. I almost cut you off.
well, I'm gonna say that you know Sarah's right about that. God was taken out of society. However, you as an individual have that choice to whether you know right from wrong. So it's either
What?
you're gonna have it or you're not gonna have it.
You talking about personal responsibility now?
Exactly.
You're talking about will? I have a will, and I don't mean like a last will and testament.
Well, we all have we have free will, but it depends on what you do with it.
What you did with
Right.
it. Got you. Got you. Nice, man. All right, so this is the next two questions. The it's going to be on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not at all, not important at all. 10 being very, 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 very important. And I'm going to ask you guys to rate what I'm saying, and it's about morality. Are you guys ready, Sarah?
Yep.
So, when considering what we value as Americans, and the idea is there what's taught in our schools, what's taught in our homes, what our jobs tell us is important, how would you rate morality's importance today? 1 to
Can you
10.
repeat the question?
Girl, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work.
Well,
All right. So,
Okay.
thinking about morality and specifically focusing on what's taught in our schools currently, what's taught in our homes, and what we're told at our jobs is important, and what's taught at our jobs. How would you rate morality as important or not important on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say for the world today about a 6
Okay. And why did you give it a 6?
because it's not taught as much in our school and our jobs in our home today,
Okay.
but it should be. It should be a 10, but it's not a 10. It should be a 10 though.
And when you think about that, can you see the impact that it's had that it's having on our society, our kids, if you will, our adults?
Yes, there's more violence and there's more disturbance of kids in their home lives.
Yes. Yeah. So you're saying you're attributing that to morality not being important anymore?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And Andrew, you need me to repeat the question?
nope.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a 3.
Okay. Why do
And
you say yeah.
the reason I say that is because more of now with today's generation, the parents are trying to be more friends instead of parenting
Mm,
and teaching their children, to come up right.
got you. Got you.
Well, they're not bringing them up right. I mean, you have most of the time now you have the children teaching the adults when it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
And so now, with that being said, we have a lot more violence in the world because the parents are being parented instead of the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. How long do you think we've been sliding down this slippery slope here?
This been going on for quite a bit
Yeah.
because every day the world changes.
Right.
There is no, a few years down the line, it's every day, all day, because you never know what this person and that person, this person is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no, the cycle continues.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? It's kind of funny because it reminds me of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is The Lion King. When you think about it,
Hold on, hold on. That's one of Gordon's favorite ones too. He just roared over there very quietly. He kind of purred.
I love it because he taught his son, he brought up his son to be a grown lion or a
Yeah.
grown man. Okay. His uncle was the lesser evil, was the evil.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna do this, you're gonna do that instead of what you're supposed to do. But when he listened to his father, everything came full circle.
The circle of life. The
All right.
circle of life.
Right, right. But for him to listen to his father, it took his father to be killed for him
Mm.
to listen.
Mm,
Yeah.
Had
yeah.
he did that the first time, that trap wouldn't have happened.
Got ya.
So when you look at today's, it's just like the younger generation in games.
Yeah.
Okay, mama, grandmother, father said, "Don't do this. You don't need to be in the street." Well, it turns out you were in the street anyway, and then what happened?
Right.
Now your parents are hurt because you got shot because you didn't want to pay attention. You wanted to do your own thing.
Yeah. Go your own way.
So
Mm.
Yeah.
it could be a good thing and a bad thing, but
Right.
right now it's just going further and further under.
Yeah. Yeah. The impact is pretty severe. And then what's sad too is often that at least in our state, the legislature continues to give particularly juveniles and adults, but gives them a pass, a free pass after crimes are committed and they're caught, allowing
As
them
long as
to
they can get a
be,
slap on the wrist,
yeah,
and as long as
paroled
they can get a slap
early.
on the wrist,
Right.
then it's not going to change. The
No.
punishments don't mean anything
Right. And neither does
because,
morality, right? Because what about the
correct.
victims? What about the people that have been hurt, one way, shape, or
Well,
form?
the victims, see, here's the thing, and not to be, on in the law thing, but you know, the courts figure, oh well, here I'll toss you some money, you'll be all right, and it doesn't really work that way because something happened to your family member, your child, or
Yeah.
whoever, they get killed. I don't care how much money you give them, that's not going to bring that person back.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yet this person gets
ramifications
off,
are lifelong, right?
right, but this person gets off scot free.
Right.
Okay, so they didn't get punished by the law. Who did they get punished by? God.
And then ultimately, you have somebody that continues to do the wrong thing as a result of that, too. Got one more question for you guys. Sarah, you ready?
Yep.
All right. What about you personally when you rate morality and whether it's not important at all or very important? For you personally, how do you rate morality?
I would say a 10, being that it's very important to me and highly valued.
Okay, okay. And so how does that come out in your day to day and how you do life, how you think about life, how you treat other people?
I treat them with respect and I treat them the way the way I'd want to be treated.
Mm.
Because treat those the way you want to be treated, and that's how I look at life.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Thank you. And you, Andrew. What
Well,
about
I think
you?
of so I think of life as a test,
Okay.
and it goes by what choices you make, and it's not a multiple choice test.
Okay.
You know, so I would say a 10 because the choices that I make not only impact me, but it also impact others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly. Certainly. Awesome. 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 Well, thank you guys for joining us and giving us your hearts and your thoughts on morality and why it matters anyway. So we do appreciate you joining us this evening. Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Say bye, Gordon.
Bye.
What about you,
Bye,
Jim?
Gordon.
Bye, Gordon.
No, you're supposed to say bye to Andrew and
Oh, bye,
Sarah.
Andrew. Yeah.
Bye,
He said
Andrew.
bye.
Sarah.
Okay, look, my communication skills, they just need to be honed a whole bunch more. All right, awesome.
No, Gordon's being Gordon.
So when we think we're going to continue on our discussion here, and keep in mind what obviously what Sarah and what Andrew shared with us. When you think about what changes or influences or affects our morality, Jim.
Well, I have an example I'd like to offer, and it's not something that's new to people. We have two campuses for our church here locally, and one is in Chambersburg, and the other one is in Hagerstown.
Right.
Last Sunday on the Hagerstown campus, a man, 23 years old, came in with a ski mask, a gun, and a knife, a very big knife,
Oh
and
wow.
attempted to stab somebody.
Wow.
And thank God the security team was effective enough to
Wow.
subdue the person. That man is free in the street today.
What the?
Yeah.
He is
That
free in the street today.
that is
And
crazy.
as a result, word has gone out to everybody who can stand erect and maybe help at all. We
Yeah.
need all the security help we can get in all of our campuses because we don't know if the
Right.
kids doing, Easter festival things and outdoors
Right.
and the congregations are going to be safe. And you know how copycats work.
Yes.
Um, the fact,
Or
the
he's
fact that we
already
can't,
he's out there already, so why can't he go do another thing?
well, that's it. And we cannot trust
Yeah.
the people that we pay our taxes to protect us.
Yes.
And I knew that very clearly when I lived outside of Baltimore.
Right.
There was no protection whatsoever.
In
All there
Maryland.
was camera.
And right now you live in
That's right.
Pennsylvania and you have it sounds like you have a similar legislature and similar issues there.
We do. Thank God we have a sheriff locally who is, boilerplate ready to act and help everybody.
Right.
And
Right.
he believes in doing the right thing and standing for the right thing.
Right.
We're very grateful for that. But that's not everywhere in
Wow.
PA. I can.
Right, right. And so when you think about that in the context of the question, changes or influences our morality, are we talking about like what our legislature, who we elect, determines to be our morality? That could be a baseline.
Yeah, that's a mess.
Yeah.
That's a mess because we can't trust them. We
Yeah.
can't trust them to protect us. We can't trust them to guide us.
No.
They're going to do what's expedient. They're going to do what gets them elected, and they're
Yeah.
going to do whatever brings in the revenue.
Yeah.
And I do not trust legislatures any further.
Right.
I think we have to stand as citizens and God-fearing people to
Yeah.
do the right thing, and on the most common level that we have in community to make sure that it happens.
Right. Because our leadership obviously is not leading and not protecting and not serving like it's supposed to.
Well, we've passed everything over to a higher authority. In terms, I mean, the states turn over their authority to the federal government. The local community, they turn it over to the states. Nobody wants to take responsibility.
Well, if you ask me, it's the wrong higher authority.
Good point,
correct.
Gordon. Good point. Good point.
And
Why
we
would you
can't
say
pass
it's
the buck anymore because we're all in danger.
no? We all are in danger. We can't stick our head up our rectal parts. One ding. Anymore and ignore it. My dad used to always say that you need to face the problems and the issues. You need to recognize where they come from. You need to take responsibility. If you've made some bad choices, which have opened doors for a character like you're just talking about, to be able to be on the street again.
Yes.
And just think about
And
what
think,
could have happened if your security team wasn't there.
well, that person could show up again this week.
Absolutely.
And there are people who may not come back to that church because of it.
Right. Now, do you think, Gordon, you can throw in on this since this is a good discussion point. Thank you for sharing the details here, Jim, with us. But do you
Certainly.
think from our leaders who, make the laws and write them and vote them into being, if you will, do you think they're making good moral choices that are right?
Well, sometimes, but a lot of times, unfortunately,
This instance,
this instance, what?
yes,
No.
no. And why would you say it's an immoral choice?
It's all about. Wow, it's a tough one.
So I think about it from the perspective of they take an oath of office. Part of that oath of office is protecting and serving and caring for their constituents, looking out for their best interests, right?
Right.
And having a gunman armed with a knife coming in with a ski mask on, coming into a church service, and then being released, a couple days later and back onto the street.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like where you. To your point, you said protect the constituents.
Yes.
Well, sounds like they're protecting a single constituent.
Good point. Good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And granted, I mean, there's always. I mean, things like this always get muddy, right? But at the end of the day, you did something that you shouldn't have done.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's too muddy.
Right. Right. But and certainly there, I mean, we always look at this, well, this and this happened in the past, right? Well, the past is the past, but you still have choices of what you do today in the here and now. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So sure. Do you need, I mean, am I saying lock them up, throw away the key? No. I mean, if that's what's needed, maybe. Right. But, let's get this person the help they need. That's what needs to happen. Right.
Well, and we also need to think about those people that could have been harmed.
Right, exactly. And let's make sure this person's someplace, for whatever period of time it takes.
Yeah.
So they can get the help they need, and then they can re-enter society and be
Perhaps.
right. I mean, ultimately that should be. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Right.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think there's always a chance for redemption. Right.
There's always a chance for redemption.
And if God's given us grace.
Sure.
Right. But this, you're out on the street the next day.
Right.
That's that just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Comments on that, Jim? Or
Yeah. Obviously, I think there need to be consequences for your behavior.
yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't trust a psychologist to say, "Oh, he didn't mean it." Let's put him out. He's just disoriented or whatever.
Right.
There has to be enough consequence to give society confidence that they're safe.
Right.
It's not just about that person's ego or that person's hurts or
Yeah.
that person's childhood or whatever it is afflicting them at the moment, drugs or
Right.
anything else. It is about ensuring that our children are safe in public. And
Exactly.
that to me is a priority. That is a
Absolutely.
priority.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And morally, the way I look at it, from my perspective of morality, because I do believe our morality comes from God. He's the one who's the lawgiver, if you will, the one that determines what's right and wrong. From my perspective as a parent, even as a friend, a neighbor, I'm holding myself to account for those who are in my circle. In other words, if for my kids, I want to make sure my kids are safe. Why? Because God's gifted me 2 kids.
Right.
And I love them. And that's part of what God's expecting of me, to love them,
Exactly.
care for them, protect
Protect them.
them, provide them,
Yes.
provide for them. And, our leaders really, by taking their vow and their oath of office and stepping into their role, that's also their role. That's also their role for all
Yes.
their constituents.
Right. Just not the special interest.
Yes, the criminal, the special interest group, the criminal, which today is a special interest group. Let's just get real on that.
Yeah.
The victims get victimized 2 times, 3 times, 4 times by the same criminal, and then there's no consequence to the criminal. And of course, we have huge problems in our country because of that going on right now. And I ultimately all think it's rooted in morality.
Living in fear.
Yeah. Yeah, we are living in fear.
Living in fear. You cannot trust that what's gonna happen if something bad happens to you.
Right, right. So another question: why do we often ignore, avoid looking at people or circumstances or dealing with things, just like we were talking about, through a moral lens? Why do you think we avoid looking through a moral lens at people, circumstances? Jim?
Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't like to judge other people all the time, even though I get mad at people
Yeah.
and think they should be different. But I've seen myself walk in the same path very often. But there are just some things that I can't tolerate, and some things that I think are absolutely important. So I've got a standard, and I realize my standard has firmed up a lot as I've gotten older because I see the consequences of dissolute behavior.
Yes.
And I know what happens to people as a result. And we have to have standards, and we have to have consequences, and we have to have interventions. And sometimes, Gordon spoke very kindly about giving persons help, but there are people, and certainly in my experience, I've gotten to know people who should never be free.
Right. And that's because
Fair.
your
They're
experience working
they're-
in prisons.
In prisons for 30 years, they're going to have to be behind bars
Yeah.
or in some kind of controlled situation because they've demonstrated enough psychopathy or greed or whatever you want to call it to just rip and run, do what they want, and they exemplify it everywhere they go.
Right.
So we have to have means of controlling that.
Yes. Unfortunately, a reality. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. No, that's great. What about you, Gordon? Why do you think we ignore, avoid dealing with, or looking through a moral lens, particularly in our culture today?
Because we don't like what we see when we look through it.
That's that mirror illustration.
The mirror thing, right? It's
Yeah.
very, and I mean, even if that mirror is, just, literally a mirror pointing at myself, right? It's like,
Yes.
ugh. But, but a bit more to your point, probably more your question is, looking for that lens and even looking for that lens of humanity, right? In general,
Yes.
it's hard to look at, and it's like, it's painful and heartbreaking to
Yes.
look at where this place has gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Often why we don't look at ourselves in a mirror, right? When
Yeah.
we think about character, we don't look at ourselves in a mirror. Don't like what we're seeing, so we just avoid looking.
Avoid the pain.
Yeah, avoid the pain, avoid the difficulty of having to face the reality that you're
Right.
a piece of shite, and that some work needs to be done. Yeah. That's definitely something. It's easier not to face the truth, right? Sometimes.
If I may,
Red
can I
pill,
add
yeah.
something?
Yeah, throw in something, Jim.
I think on a national basis, certainly, and maybe
Yeah.
in a world basis, we've created an entire tier of people paid to water down morality and make excuses and get people off. And I won't name a profession, psychology attorneys, but I think
Politicians.
without that,
Pastors.
yes, oh, absolutely, without that basic moral foundation, they have just come to make excuses and do whatever is expedient for them.
Yeah. Which is so detrimental to all of us, right? As people, as humanity, if you will, as a whole. There's a passage in James chapter 1, and I'm just going to hit the first part of it today. But therefore, this is James. He's a pastor. He says, therefore get rid of all, and I like how he puts it, moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. And that word planted in you in that context, James is speaking about God's word, God's truth. What God determines is right, what God determines is wrong. And he goes further on. I think actually we'll go down a little further here because Gordon brought up the mirror situation. Anyone who listens to the word, that's the truth, but does not do what it says, is like a man who looks at his face in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. I think a moral code, if you will, is a mirror. It helps us to see and evaluate what we're looking at, and that means what I'm looking at when I'm looking in the mirror. It certainly is a lot easier to look at other people's morality or immorality or amoral position, but really, if I spend time focusing on where I'm at and evaluating myself based on truth, if you will, then I'm going to see what's wrong, and then I can ask for some help, because the bottom line is I don't have to be the jerk I've always been.
If you're brave enough to ask for help. That's hard too.
It is. It is. It takes some humility to look in the mirror too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because I don't like what I see. But God has done some pretty awesome things through looking in the mirror, if you will. Anyway, let's we're gonna leave.
I think
Yeah, go. Go ahead, Jim.
no, I thank God that that you guys are doing what we're doing right now, because when I talk to people who are having trouble, they give me a litany of years and years of talking to professionals who just give them watered down advice to be able to make decisions that insurance companies will pay for, and that has left them
Wow.
rudderless, absolutely
That's
rudderless.
a hard statement there, Jim.
Yeah. Very hard.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, you know.
Proof.
Yeah. And now that you speak about that, I mean, I've seen that in the Christian community also.
Yes.
People watering
Yes.
down the truth, avoiding saying the hard things, and avoiding challenging people to look in the mirror, like James does here. James, a pastor, he pastored church in Jerusalem. And he loved the people that were a part of his church, but he also loved them enough to tell them the hard things and challenge them to look at truth through God's eyes. Because, today I think in our world, I mean, we often hear that refrain, well, that's my truth and that's your truth. Things can get very confusing that way. I always like to go to extremes.
Yes.
So my truth says that I can shoot you in the head and it's okay. And of course, people are like, no, that's not true. Well, that's my truth.
Yeah.
Of course, we find the fatal flaw when we take it to an extreme like that. Anyway, one of the ways that we can, grow grit here as we wrap it up is, and we want to always end with a how-to segment. And this is kind of some questions or some challenges that we're putting out to you guys, but we're really, these are questions that I'm asking everybody on the crew and questions I have to ask myself about morality. We're not sitting here, on a stage behind a bully pulpit, pointing our fingers. I mean, this is, as a human being, I want to be a better human being. What about you, Gordon?
Yeah. I want to be a better human being.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And your wife is shaking her head. Yes, Gordon, be a better human being. Now she's smiling. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
certainly need to be. I certainly need to be a better human.
yeah. Jim?
Looking in the mirror can be really tough because I see the past in my eyes as well as the present and my hope for the future. I
Yeah.
have a lot to regret. I have a lot to ask forgiveness for. And I have a lot of hope through my Savior that I can do something right before I leave this earth. And that's where I am. And I'm so grateful for people like yourself, Rob, who stand up and tell us what God tells us is important.
Amen, man.
So say we all.
Couldn't do it any other way, brother. I mean, to me, I'd be wasting my time if I wasn't. It'd be wasted time for
Right.
me because I'd be living a delusion, and it'd be a waste of a life because it's a calling to walk with people and to understand that we have to look in the mirror and like you said, God can change us and will change us if we're willing to see the truth and follow his lead. But some questions we want to leave you all with here, and then I have a reading for you at the end. But growing grit. So how do we do that? So morality. We don't want to be amoral or not think that morality is an important thing. We see that in a lot of circles today, or people avoid talking about it because they're getting, like our leaders often want to get their bill across the line. And even if it's an immoral bill, of course, they won't talk about it at the level of morality because they don't want to dissect it that way. They want to do what's wrong often. It gets legislated. What you were talking about today, Jim, right there's legislation that allowed a man back on the street who literally walked in his church and wanted to hurt people, period. That's wrong.
Yep.
They're certainly not doing their jobs in protecting, and the law is actually protecting him. And that's a sad statement. Also, what is your moral code? It's important. Gordon, what's yours? Rob, what's yours? Jim, what's yours? And how has your moral code shaped your life? Think about it, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. How has your immorality shaped your life? How has your immorality impacted other people, even those you care about? How has your immorality impacted your job and affected what you do for a living? Important, right?
Yeah.
It's an important thing to look at. That's the looking in the mirror piece.
Absolutely.
It's certainly a hard question, And does
Absolutely.
morality matter to you? And understanding why it does or why it doesn't, facing off with that question, like we did with Sarah and we did with Andrew. They dug into why morality matters to them and how it's influenced and shaped their lives and why it's important. And so that's part of looking in the mirror, asking yourself those hard questions. So for now, you guys can reach out to us and connect with us through the email that's going to shoot across the bottom of your screen in a little bit. You can also leave a comment at our Twitch address or our YouTube address. Again, those will shoot across the bottom of the screen momentarily. But as we're closing, I want to read a passage here from the book of Daniel, and this is a picture that from a vision that Daniel had. He fell asleep and he woke up in the middle of the night, and God was downloading a vision to him. And in that vision was pictured this one that is called the Ancient of Days. And in these chapters here, in these visions that Daniel is getting from God, God is showing Daniel what the future is going to look like, looking down the road. And so this description of the Ancient of Days is passed down to us through Daniel, and it comes through a vision that he got from God. It says, "As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow. The hair of his head was as white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and its wheels were ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Then I continued to watch because of the boastful words the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain and its body destroyed, and the throne and his body was destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire." That's a picture of what still is to come. In the Ancient of Days pictured there is God. And that's a pretty scary picture, isn't it there, Gordon?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Jim,
Yes, sir.
that's a pretty scary picture for you.
It's very scary, and
Yeah.
I understand why it is. And it's taken me a lifelong journey to figure this out. And I'm
Yeah.
just grateful that I'm getting.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at the truth, God's word, and it kind of causes us or calls us to pay attention and get real with ourselves, because who we are and what we do and what we think, all of that stuff matters. It all impacts people, and it's all an expression of our character, which is ultimately flows out of our morality. So thank you all for showing up this week and participating with us as we learn how to do this podcast thing. We appreciate that, but we would love it if you guys were able to send us some comments or some things you want us to talk about or address. In the future, we are going to get up a live comment section to be able to allow for more participation in the moment. So we look forward to that day. But for tonight, have a good night. And God bless you. God keep you. God make his face shine on you. And God be your good mirror to show you who you are. Look into his truth. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Amen.